it's going to be a worldwide sensation, and it's going to open up all sorts of racist issues and racial attitudes. And Harry and Meghan are going to come out of it stinking. They're not going to come out of it smelling like roses. They're going to come out of it like the race baiters which they are. And Meghan is going to come out as exactly what she is, which is a race-hating woman of color who despises anybody who is darker than she is, despises herself because of her racial heritage. Doria, bring me some more weed.
So Lady Colin Campbell, Prince Harry is getting down and dirty now in this battle with Dr. Sophie Chandauka after she announced her decision to sue the royal. And what he has now done is leak to the Times newspaper an unseen resignation letter where the trustees of Centre Bali accused the chair, Sophie Chandauka, of misconduct and intimidation. They have now made this letter public. The Times is trying to say that the document lays bare the row that has since escalated into legal action in the High Court, and the letter has not been made public until now. The trustees, but remember, these are all having their strings pulled by Harry. I mean, one of the trustees is Mark Dyer, who is also being sued, said they had unanimously decided to resign after raising significant concerns about Sophie Chandauka's conduct. They wrote that they had asked Chandoka to step down after months of significant issues, adding that this was not a sudden decision, but one reached after sustained difficulties. They alleged a breakdown in relationships with trustee staff and major funders and accused her of attempting to manipulate board minutes. They also claimed her tenure had an adverse effect on the charity. The letter also claims Chandoka responded to calls for her to step down by making vague and deeply troubling allegations to threaten and intimidate the board, its patrons, and a donor. The trustees said these actions further diminished trust within the organisation. The dispute intensified this week when she sought a High Court injunction to block a board meeting at which trustees plan to vote on her position. There can be no more damning evidence of your failure to act as a leader capable of putting the charity's best interests first, the trustees wrote. They warned the situation had become untenable and said the charity faced irreparable damage. They added this attack from within threatens to destroy Centre Bali for good. But the thing is, ladies, see, what they also did in the letter was say, you're not going to be able to replace us, and effectively Harry will then take control of the charity. But guess what? She did replace them all. She did fight back. She is now trying to rebuild Centre Bali. She absolutely stands by the fact that it is Prince Harry who destroyed it. And Lady C, as an expert in defamation and in holding people to account for lies and public attempts to destroy you in the past, you think Dr. Sophie Chandauka has a very strong case here. What do you know, and how are you thinking this is going to play out?
Well, Dan, just because I have 50 years of experience and have successfully sued all the large newspaper companies in this country doesn't necessarily make me an expert. Says I being droll.
Yeah, you know this, Lady C. You know how to play this game, and you know when something isn't strong enough and when something is strong enough.
The situation is complicated by the fact that, and by the way, I am let me put it this way. I think Sophie Chandauka has a very strong case. I do not see that this is actually going to go to court to trial, because I think that she has already actually succeeded in her objective, which has been to expose Harry and expose Meghan. So she's won. She's won just by issuing proceedings. She's won. Harry, if he fights this and if this goes to court, first of all, the awards in libel actions nowadays are very small. I mean, you're looking at maybe £150,000 damages if you succeed. But the costs of succeeding can be 2, 3, or £4 million. So let's bear that in mind. Sophie Chandauka, I know as a fact, felt that she had been belittled and that she had been, she said misogynoir. And Sophie Chandauka knows, because she is a Black Zimbabwean and lives in South Africa as well, or has lived in South Africa, and also is very much a part of the British community. And she knows that there is a layering in the Black community, and that fair-skinned negresses, as they used to be called, often look down upon darker-skinned women of color, which clearly Meghan did with her. And that would have been a huge red flag to Sophie Chandauka. And Harry also backed up all of this. So there is a racist element going on here that is very personal where Sophie Chandauka is concerned, because she knows Meghan and Harry are very adept at playing the race card, and they played it against everybody, and they thought they were going to play it against her because Meghan is the superior fair-skinned woman of color, and Sophie Chandauka should know her place. And of course, it's not worked out like that, because Sophie Chandauka knows the law, and Sophie Chandauka knows that she can clobber them. And this is not only about Harry, this is about Meghan as well. And I think that Sophie Chandauka would not have brought, and also let's not forget, I was going to say, let me finish this. She wouldn't have brought these proceedings if she didn't have sound legal advice, because she's also a lawyer, and sound backing. Because let's not forget that when the board was vacated, one of Prince William's primary colleagues in Africa stepped into the breach and took over on the board at the charity. Now, I get that Harry most likely thought, well, I set up the charity, it's my charity, I don't like what's happening, we've come to a parting of the ways, and I want you to step down. And she decided, no, I'm not stepping down. And I think she decided, I'm not stepping down because you guys have disrespected me. You have race baited me. You have thought you could get away with it. You race baited your own family. You race baited her. Your wife race baited her family. She race baited your family. And you both have race baited the whole of the British nation, and I'm not going to be outmaneuvered by you. And I think that she thought, right, you have played the race card and thought you could get away with it. Well, I have a better race card to play, and I'm going to shaft you with it. And basically, if this case goes to court, I should say to trial, because, there are many little proceedings before trial. If this case goes to trial, I think it's going to be a worldwide sensation, and it's going to open up all sorts of racist issues and racial attitudes. And Harry and Meghan are going to come out of it stinking. They're not going to come out of it smelling like roses. They're going to come out of it like the race baiters which they are. And Meghan is going to come out as exactly what she is, which is a race-hating woman of color who despises anybody who is darker than she is, despises herself because of her racial heritage. And by the way, when I say that, I'm going totally off the things Meghan has said about her attitude towards her color. If you know what she said, and remember, I'm Jamaican, so I'm very immersed in the whole business of the color question. And Meghan is actually the typical woman of color who passed for white, and still Meghan does everything in her power to look as white as possible. I mean, why does she have to have her hair so straightened to the extent that now she is actually reduced to having the hair of Turkish virgins? Because, and notice also, even when she bronzes up her face, she makes sure she never bronzes up her neck, her hands, or her scalp. So what she's doing is she's giving you a message. I am basically white. She is a huge race baiter, and I think she is a classical self-hating woman of color, because she would have loved to have been white. And unfortunately for her, she's not, but she's managed to turn it to her advantage. But I don't think it's going to work with Sophie Chandauka, because she is a woman of substance. Meghan is a woman of straw. And Harry is basically a non-entity who's only ever been he's been properly trained, and he's very personable when he's doing his public duties. But otherwise, I mean, the guy's a total idiot.
Well, Lady C, two things. Firstly, do you not think that there is a possibility that it definitely does get to trial? Because Harry's not going to want to apologise, is he? And Sophie Chandauka isn't going to settle, I imagine, unless there was a public apology, because she has made it clear that this case is all about protecting Centre Barley's future work, which Harry has tried to destroy.
Well,
or is there another way?
Let's remember, Harry's looking at a huge bill from Associated Newspapers. And it's very likely that Harry is going to lose that. How many lawsuits can Harry afford that he basically loses? Because let's remember, Meghan's lawsuit against Associated on the privacy grounds, she was awarded £1 damages. If there was a Part 36 offer, which there normally is, Dan, you will know about this. I don't know that the public will know about what we're speaking about. But so to be very brief, a Part 36 offer is where the other side makes an offer, and if you don't beat that, you have to pay their costs. And Meghan was awarded £1 damages, which meant that Meghan became liable for everybody's costs. Let's remember that. Meghan and Harry are not the great victors that they would like the public to believe they are. He's slaying dragons. He's slaying dragons that he's obviously taken out of Cameron Diaz's fridge as he was eating her magic mushrooms.
Indeed. Now, Lady C, legal issues for Harry are piling up, because it has emerged this week that the ongoing case between the Heritage Foundation and the US government over whether Prince Harry lied about his illegal drug use. I think you said Cameron Diaz's fridge. Wasn't it Courtney Cox's fridge, Lady C? I think.
Oh.
I think it was Courtney.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, I think it was Courtney. We've just got to be clear. Cameron Diaz. We apologise. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Courtney Cox, because he had been staying, because, you know, she's married to the guy from Soul Patrol. Anyway, that's my understanding. But
Oh, thank you, darling. Thanks for correcting me.
but
To me, they're all much of a
yeah,
muchness.
exactly. A Hollywood star, an old school Hollywood star. But of course, Harry admitted all of this drug use in Spare, and the Heritage Foundation are demanding the release of these files. Now, what has happened, Lady C, and I imagine you probably think this is the diplomatically wise thing, it has been delayed until after King Charles's state visit to America. But it is not over. Here's the reporting from the Daily Mail. But first, a lot of people watching or listening to this will know exactly what I mean. Trying to quit vaping or smoking isn't just about nicotine, it's about the routine. The hand-to-mouth motion, that oral fixation, that little pause you've trained into your day. I've seen this up close recently, actually, because my fiance has been working to quit vaping, and the hardest part hasn't been willpower, it's those automatic moments where your hands reach for something without you even thinking. That's why Fume is so smart. It's a flavored air device designed to help people quit vaping and smoking by breaking that hand-to-mouth pattern. No nicotine, no batteries, no vapor, just a weighted, twisty, fidget-friendly tool you use when the urge hits. You can interrupt that old loop and reach for something better. And it's not even always a big urge. Sometimes it's just a fidget moment, on a call, stress, heading out the door. Fume gives you that pause without going back to nicotine. Flavors are lighter, like flavored water compared to a soda. Crisp mint is the strongest, especially if you're coming off heavier use, and raspberry is tangy and a bit sweeter. Fume has already helped over 700,000 people take steps towards better habits. When you grab a journey pack, you'll also get a free gift just for using my code, which is Outspoken. So remember that, Outspoken. Head to tryfume.com. That's try, TRYFUM.com. And remember to use the code Outspoken to claim your free gift today. But now, back to the show. Prince Harry's controversial US visa files have been delayed until after King Charles's state visit to America. US officials have quietly pushed back a planned release of his visa documents until after his father's high-stakes trip to Washington. Campaigners have been asking for years to view the files to see if Harry lied on his application for a US visa about whether he had ever taken drugs. Since moving to America, the Duke of Sussex has admitted in his memoir Spare that he previously used cocaine and marijuana. US think tank, the Heritage Foundation, and researcher Mike Howell brought a Freedom of Information case and sued the US State Department to force it to comply with the request. Hundreds of official documents relating to the case have been identified, and here's the interesting part. In a new court filing in Washington, D.C. made public this week, officials admitted they missed a March target to hand over documents. They said the next update in the case had been postponed until at least June the 12th, long after the royal trip has safely concluded. The court filing makes no mention of the state visit, but the delay in the timing will have the effect of avoiding any embarrassment to Harry's father. Then Niall Gardner of the Heritage Foundation, who has been very instrumental in this court case, pointed to something very important, Lady C. The status report reveals that the State Department has identified 307 separate records spanning 2,487 pages that could be relevant to the Duke. So, Lady C, there is a lot that could still unravel in this case. You've got a cold again. Well, that's legal. That's legal in California. It's the other stuff that isn't.
It's not legal, Dan. It's legal if you are an American citizen. It is not legal if you are a foreigner, because it's you as a foreigner are in the United States under federal law.
True.
Federal law has not legalized any drug taking of that nature. It's state law that has. So you still fall foul of federal law. Doria, bring me some more weed. It's definitely not. It's definitely in breach of federal law. So, but of course, it's the whole. Let's see what happens. because this has been ongoing for a while, and the Harry situation is in some ways a sideshow, because so much of greater importance is going on between the UK and the US as states, with our Keir Starmer's attitude towards the Iraqi invasion, the Iranian invasion, etc.
Exactly. So they don't want they don't want any type of awkwardness. I mean, this week, Lady C, it's even been revealed that the meeting in the Oval Office between President Trump and King Charles, and Trump usually wants all of those meetings played out in public and filmed, and I love that. I mean, we saw that big clash with President Zelensky, that historic clash, but of course, Buckingham Palace in this case has said, no, it's going to have to be held in private.
But that suits Trump as well, because Trump is in a very interesting situation, because Trump is very pro the royal family, but he is not pro the position of the government. So it actually suits both Trump and King Charles that any private, shall we say, issues that need ironing out will never see the light of day, because otherwise that would defeat the purpose of the visit, because the purpose of the visit is national solidarity. We are celebrating 250 years of having lost America as a colony.
Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness, it's going to be very interesting, Lady C. I wanted to talk to you. I mean, we've spoken about this for a long time. Harry and Meghan being wired during these trips back to the UK in the past for major royal events, including that was for the late Queen's funeral, but also for her Platinum Jubilee celebrations, and also when Harry returned to the coronation, where Meghan didn't come. And Lady C, we used to be called crazy conspiracy theorists, didn't we? Even though we had video, even though we had the pictures. Well, now Hugo Vickers, in his new book, and remember he was a confidant of the late Queen and Prince Philip, has made it very, very clear that the late Queen believed that Harry and Meghan were wired. Watch this, Lady C. We are on a mission to 700,000 subscribers, so I need you to do something for me right now. It is free, it is easy, it is simple. Just hit that subscribe button on YouTube. That's because over 50% of you watching this video haven't done that yet, and it is the best way to support Outspoken. We're totally independent, by the way, no big tech backing, no billionaires pulling the strings, and if you turn on the bell, you'll get alerted to all our new videos.
And so I think, as far as, having somebody in the room, I think certainly there's one time is to stop them taking photographs or being wired, or God knows what they were up to.
What do you mean, wired for telly?
Yeah, wired for recording.
What, so the Queen thought that they might be wired up to be recording conversations with her for Netflix purposes?
It's always a possibility. I'm not saying it happened.
Well, of course, Lady C, Camilla Tominey in a way is putting words into Hugo Vickers' mouth there, because it wasn't just necessarily for Netflix purposes. I mean, of course, that was one aspect of it, but it actually could have been something much more sinister. I mean, we know what happened with, what's her name? Fulani. Ngozi Fulani. And,
Ngozi Fulani, otherwise known as Marlene Headley.
Yes. And the suggestion is that she was wired up when she entered Buckingham Palace, and that's how she was able to get the long-time lady-in-waiting sack. But what's your view, Lady C? Do you think this wiring was for Netflix, or was it potentially for something more sinister? And was the late Queen right to be concerned?
The late Queen was very sensible, very good judgment, very cautious, but also within all of that, very adventurous. She knew who she could trust and she knew who she couldn't trust. And, once it became known that Meghan was busy taping things, she and that Meghan was basically an adversary, she understood that she had to treat Meghan as a consistent adversary. It wasn't only about Netflix, it's about the ability to slice and piece things together and accuse people of saying things they didn't say, or selectively choosing material so that you actually ended up appearing to say the opposite of what you truly believed. And she was simply very sensible and very cautious. And because Dan, we have known for a long time that Meghan was the archetype of taping, and that she was busy gathering evidence to use against. And the Queen was used to people who were basically enemies, who she had to associate with. And she, I know as a fact, regarded Meghan as an enemy, because
interesting,
that's how she viewed Meghan and that's how she treated Meghan.
And she was an enemy.
Harry, because once she realized that Harry went along with what Meghan thought was acceptable, and she knew, it is such a ravishment of anybody's integrity that a member of your family would be taping you to use down the line against you. It is a total ravishment of anything that decent and civilized people would abide by. But she understood what she was dealing with, and she dealt with it accordingly. She wouldn't ever be with Meghan alone, ever. And she wouldn't speak to Harry or Meghan without other people being there. Hugo's come out with it in the book, but we've been saying this for years.
Yes.
So it's not as if to say that Hugo's come out with
but I
anything
was
that we haven't been
delighted.
saying.
I was delighted, though, that he was prepared to say that.
Oh, absolutely.
I was very happy that he did, because I remember Lady C even covering the Sandringham Summit after I'd revealed the news of Megxit. That was back in 2020. And at the time, I was reporting that there was so much concern that Harry could be recording the summit for Meghan. And that's why they didn't want to get Meghan on a speakerphone, because they thought she would be recording the whole thing. So there's always been concern, but I just thought it was great news that Hugo Vickers was actually prepared to come out and say it. Lady Colin Campbell, thank you so much. And of course, you've got to follow Lady C on both X and subscribe to her wonderful YouTube channel for so much more of this. But Lady C, we always love having you as part of Outspoken. And of course, if you do want to subscribe to the Royal Uncancelled After Show here on Outspoken, then please do head to my website, www.outspoken.live. That's our Substack. We're paid monthly and annual subscribers get first access to the Royal Uncancelled After Show with absolutely no advertising whatsoever. You watch live or on demand, whichever you prefer, every single weekday. You can message me directly on there, and you get all of our coverage first with no commercial interruptions. But the bigger thing is that you are supporting me and the whole crew in order to do our independent reporting outside the mainstream media, outside of the Royal Rota. And I am so grateful for it. Less than a price of a cup of coffee, £5 or £6, depending if you're needing to pay VAT or not in the UK. And by the way, you can also subscribe completely for free as well, because I do know how tough times are. So that address again, www.outspoken.live. Come and join our Outspoken Media Revolution. Dan Wootton Outspoken is your no spin, no bias, no censorship outlet for independent news. We have no big tech backing or billionaires pulling my strings, but that does mean I need your support. So please hit subscribe on YouTube, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to Dan Wootton Outspoken on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It's totally free, but allows me to continue my promise to always keep fighting for you.